we're going to give each of the four panelists 2 minutes to respond to whatever they heard, if they want to, and then after that, we're going to take questions. So, the first one this week would be Denise.
I think it's interesting. None of us got together to discuss what we were going to say, but it all kind of flowed together very well, I think. When I talked about the free trade agreements in the 1990s, 1980s, 1990s, and that, it started, well, the consolidation of corporate control in rural America started a long time before that, but that was a really pushed effort through policy and international law to make this happen. At this point in time in Iowa, there's very little land that's owned by corporations because the people who live on the land are really the servants to the corporations and the servants of the corporations. So to have to invest in capital, capital investments into land that's extremely high right now isn't part of their financial plan. But I just think that, and I love Francis is a soil scientist, so he really brings it back down to the life in the soil. And if there are people out there that really care about life and really campaign for life, they would think about the life of the soil as well and what we're doing to it. And so I think what everybody said, and of course Barb and I have known each other for a long time, we go way back. In fact, I was thinking about this panel up here. We're kind of being the elders of the farm stuff, having been around here for a while, but and we haven't given up. I guess what I would like to end with is that I think what we had to say is very relevant to the day, and that I'm always open for people knocking at my door, ringing my bell, calling my cell phone or whatever, to find out more about how we can, how we can do what we need to do to make it a better world. Thank you.
Just a couple comments on what Denise said about free trade. There's Ian Fletcher, I think his name is, wrote a book called Why Free Trade Doesn't Work. And he points out how over the last 10 to 20 years, our trade deficit, since we started the free trade, has been $6 trillion. And so we have this myth that we're creating something really great by this free trade, but we're really handing our trade over to the corporations. And I really call it corporate colonialism. It used to be that trade was between a country and another country. Now it is that the corporation goes and sets up a factory over here, and it's trade amongst the corporations and the people. They're extracting the wealth. And the Cardinals of the world, the Archer Daniels, they're extracting the wealth from rural Iowa. And so we have to break through that myth that free trade is, the word free is not really, what is it, forced we call it the other night? Forced trade. Yeah.
All right, George.
Okay.
2 minutes, buddy.
I'm going to give my 2 minutes to Larry Genner.
I'm a first-generation farmer. I'm now retired. But I tell you what I heard tonight. I heard history. These folks here are part of my history too. And when we tell our stories, that's what makes us so damn much stronger than those corporations will never be. And what this fight is about is technology versus the human experience. And I think the biggest crime of the century has been seed patenting, because it takes away the democratic process. This is what this fight's all about. We heard the lady from Korea. Her fight's the same as my fight, or our fight here in the United States. It's a global fight. We need to stand up for corporations. We need to stand up for unions. We need to stand up for healthcare workers, family farmers, the environment, the air, and people themselves. It's the human condition that we are fighting for, not them damn corporations.
Just so you'll know where we're headed with all this, I got to go to El Salvador with George one year, and we went out to...
and Jim.
Yes. Anyway, we went out to visit contraption. It's about this big, and it looked like a harvester silo. And in my head, I go, well, I'll bet they store their seed in there and keep it dry, you know, before they plant it next year. And so I asked one of the ladies in the group, I said, do you store your seed in that little harvester over there? And she says, oh, no. She says, we go to San Salvador to get our seed. I go, San Salvador? Why would you go there for your seed? Well, we buy it from Monsanto, she said. And I go, oh my God, Monsanto! These people live in huts and they're buying their seed from Monsanto. So already Monsanto has gone to the ends of the earth to find these poor people who have nothing and get their last 25 cents. That's what we're fighting here in this corporate agriculture, is that kind of mentality that will take your last 25 cents so you can have an ear of corn next year. Thank you for
So right off the bat, this is hardly fair and equitable. We only got 15 minutes left, but folks, if people have something to say, a question they'd like to address to one of the people, please do so. Allison.
Thank you very much. The question that I have, I guess, is where do you envision corporate agriculture going as global warming worsens? And how do you see that affecting hunger and poverty either on the local, national, or global scale? If you could expand beyond horse food, that would be great.
Well summed up.
I guess, unfortunately, global warming will happen, I guess, in such a gradual sense that they'll convince everybody that it's not really happening. So they'll be going on their merry way, except for the various tragic consequences that come up every once in a while, and then they'll try to profit from it. And, you know, it's this land grab thing. They're going, this is the earth that will pay for it, you know, in terms of, oh, we're going to solve everything by filling our cars with gasohol or biodiesel or whatever. They will bulldoze vast areas of land and plant it into Roundup-ready corn and Roundup-ready soybeans to produce that biofuel. It's just more of the same, and they'll tend to profit. But the thing we have to realize is that system can't run very smoothly down the road if it can even run at all. So I don't know, but it's not a good thing.
I think one thing we need to look at, we need to look at models that work, that are ecologically based, and we have good models out there that are working, that can't be taken over by the corporations. On my own farm, for example, we process our milk on the farm. We milk about 90 cows. We make bottled milk and yogurt cheese, and we market it all locally in Fairfield. And so there's no way that any corporation could even take over what I do because it's too specialized. And so we have these models working. So when, as George says, when the industrial model goes over the cliff, then we have something that people can pick up and go with that's already working.
And I would say also the farmers of the world are women, and for the most part, and there's estimates between 55 and 95% of the world, but there's many places in the world where women can't own land. We have the opportunity and the privilege in our country, and so my work for the rest of my life is with women in agriculture, because the women, there are demographics that are changing in agriculture in the United States. More women are going into agriculture. They're doing smaller acreages. They're doing